Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and happy Thursday evening, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, 2 key witnesses testify in final day of impeachment hearings this week. House impeachment investigators are hearing on Thursday from 2 key witnesses who grew alarmed by how President Donald Trump and others in his orbit were conducting foreign policy in Ukraine, capping an intense week in the history. Inquirer. Holmes said he was having lunch with Ambassador Gordon Sondland this summer when he heard Trump on the phone asking the envoy about the investigation he wanted from the Ukraine president. The colorful exchange was like nothing he had ever seen, Holmes said in an earlier closed-door disposition. Hill said her National Security Council boss, John Bolton, cut short a meeting with visiting Ukraine at the White House when Sondland started asking them about investigations. The 2 witnesses set to appear Thursday are the last scheduled for public hearing in an inquiry that brought hours of testimony from a roster of current and former U.S. government officials defying Trump's orders not to appear. The impeachment inquiry focused on allegations that Trump sought investigations of former Vice President Joe Biden and his son, and the discredited idea that Ukraine rather than Russia interfered in the 2016 U.S. election in return for badly needed military aid and a White House visit. The new Ukraine president wanted to show his backing from the West. And it all started around 9 a.m. this morning and ended around 3:30 p.m., 4 p.m.-ish with the closing statement. AMR paramedic dies days after serious crash in Peterborough, officials say. Danielle Murphy remembered for love of family and work. Take a look at this photo right here. This paramedic right here has passed away. A glimpse. Man died of injuries he suffered in a crash on Route 101 in Peterborough, according to authorities. Daniel Murphy died Wednesday night after he was involved in a serious crash Sunday afternoon while on his way home from work, officials said. Murphy worked as an AMR paramedic in Nashua. He had recently retired as an assistant fire chief in Morale. Murphy is survived by his wife and 4 children. A GoFundMe page has been launched to help Murphy's family. And our thoughts and prayers go to Murphy's family and co-workers at AMR Nashua Paramedics and the Morale Fire Department as well. Crews fight fire at Hampton Motel. Fire on Ashworth Avenue under control, officials say. Firefighters from several communities responded Thursday morning to fight a fire at a motel in Hampton. The fire broke out around 8:50 a.m. at 91 Ashworth Avenue. Heavy smoke and some fire was showing from the building when firefighters arrived. Firefighters had the fire under control about 9:30 a.m., officials said. 9 people were displaced. Some people rent units at the motel. The fire started in an end unit. The cause of the fire is under investigation. There were no injuries reported. And let's take a look at some video from the scene that was taken.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music.
Yeah.
Okay, and there you go on that video. Pembroke police ask for public's help to track down missing man. Police looking for Trey Rouse. Let's take a listen to the video from WR News 9.
And right now, police in Pembroke are looking for this man. They say 24-year-old Trey Rouse hasn't been seen since last Friday. They say he has autism and needs regular medication. Rouse was last seen driving a gold or beige Jeep Cherokee with New Hampshire license plates. Anyone with information should call 485-3421, that number on your screen.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Again, if you have any information, call the Pembroke Police Department or your local police department. Manchester man charged with criminal threatening after standoff, police say. Report of domestic violence incident prompted police response, officials say. Let's take a listen to the video from WR News 9.
Now to some breaking news we've been following overnight. A Manchester man is charged with a felony after a SWAT situation. Officers responded to a report of a domestic violence incident in the area of Sheffield Road and South Mammoth Road just before 10 last night, and say the suspect barricaded himself inside a home on Sheffield Road. Neighbors were evacuated as a precaution. About 3 hours later, Charles Budakian surrendered.
And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red and went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red and went down. S&P 500 closed in the red and went down. Gold closed in the red and went down. Oil closed in the green and went up. US 10-year closed in the green and went up. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VIX closed in the green and went up. Stocks post 3-day losing streak. Stocks slipped on Thursday as investors designated the latest reports surrounding the U.S.-China trade war. President Trump flips script on Sondland's testimony. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
President Trump quick to fire back. He went before the cameras at the White House reading off his handwritten notes. You can see it there in the picture. For more on this, let's head over to Terry Moran. And Terry, President calling Sondland's testimony fantastic, but privately White House aides conceded this was not a good day for him.
It was a tough day, that's for sure, Cecilia. The White House did not know what Gordon Sondland was going to say in his testimony. No one did, and so the president was up in the residence for hours watching that testimony. And then that one moment came, the tension broke, he stepped outside of the White House and declared victory. Hours into the impeachment testimony, the president emerged from the White House and attempted to flip the script on the notion that Ambassador Sondland's testimony was damaging to him.
And I just noticed one thing, and I would say that means it's all over.
The president seized on a moment in Sondland's testimony involving a phone call between the two in September.
But I believe I just asked him an open-ended question, Mr. Chairman. What do you want from Ukraine? I keep hearing all these different ideas and theories and this and that. What do you want?
The president, reading from handwritten notes, reenacted the reply Sondland remembered that Trump gave to him.
And now, here's my response that he just gave. Ready? You have the cameras rolling? I want nothing. That's what I want from Ukraine. That's what I said. I want nothing. I said it twice.
Republicans were quick to jump on the president's messaging, putting up this sign in the hearing room. But Democrats pointed out that that September phone call between Trump and Sondland came after the White House learned about the whistleblower complaint.
There's a reason why he said there was no quid pro quo. We don't have telephone calls and just kind of spew something like that out. It was because the whistleblower had come forward, the White House was aware of it, and he knew that that was what the issue was going to be.
The president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, mentioned dozens of times in Sondland's testimony and accused of orchestrating the campaign to pressure Ukraine, also fired back, tweeting, Sondland is speculating based on very little contact, and that he never met him. But Ambassador Sondland had said everyone was in the loop. Now, a spokesman for Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said any suggestion that Pompeo knew that the military aid was being withheld to force investigations is flat out false. And Vice President Pence said to an interview, it simply didn't happen. George?
Okay, Terry Moran, thanks very much.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and bye, everyone.